What is up, YouTube? It is your boy Robski. It is May 2nd, 2022, and I'm coming out with you with another video because I have to explain a new perspective, mine, on if anybody who's in the sports world might be talking about these new laws called the NIL, which stands for, I believe, the NIL. The NIL are name, image, and likeness. That's what the NIL stands for. Okay. Now, let me get to this and let me explain to you why this is important. Why this isn't just about sports, but about the United States and principle in general, and why you should care, even though you're not a sports fan, even if you are or you are not. Okay. So this law right here, just trying to adjust my stuff here. This is called NIL, name, image, and likeness. Okay, the NCAA has now opened up the floodgates, and they are trying to cover the sins that they have been guilty of for years. Okay, name, image, and likeness. So part of this includes like the Ed O'Bannon case. This includes Title IX. This includes capitalism. All this stuff. These laws are going to open, and they're going to expose who the real villains are, who the real incompetent people are. Notice Mark Emmert, who is definitely a villain, has stepped down from commissioner of NCAA or whatever his appointment is, and it's because he's an old boomer who's outdated and he doesn't know what's going on and how the system works. So there are lots of different key players on this, lots of different names, lots of different ideas, but I'm going to try to simplify it on this board. Okay. Now, once again, for those of you guys who don't know, I have a collegiate athletic background. I played NCAA Division III football and baseball. Okay? I based my decisions not on academics, not on professionals, but to play ball. Period. That is the reality of it. It doesn't matter. The reason why I got good grades, the reason why I did all that was to play ball. And I'm just being real with myself. Me as a 37-year-old man is being real. Now, why is this important? Well, there are a lot of young millennial men. I'm getting older, but there's a lot of them because of the decisions they made, because of the poor financial decisions, which I'm included, that they made back in 2004. It is haunting them the rest of their life. Okay? And what you are taught in school, K through 12, and then the NCAA, all of it is bunk. It is not true. There's so many levels to these laws, and I'm having a hard time organizing them. But I'm going to explain why I am so glad. And like I said, if the NCAA gets torn apart and never comes back again, I will be more than happy. If the whole collegiate system gets pulled underneath them, I will be happy, and I'll explain why. Okay, I am saying this from the eyes of a 37-year-old adult, not of the eyes of a 17-year-old child, which I was. I just wanted to play ball. Okay, so couple of things. First issue, that the NCAA, the disconnect happened, and why the NIL, why these laws are going to exist, and why these players will get paid and they will get their due comeuppance. They will get paid if they are value. The first concept, which is not taught in schools, by the way, which is, not explained to you by your professors and your teachers because they are, I don't know what you want to call it. I don't want to lump everybody in. I'm not going to say anything, comments about teachers. I really do hate professors, though. And because teachers at the elementary and high school level do not charge you $400 for a worthless textbook like professors do. Okay, first concept that everybody needs to understand is called free market capitalism. Free market capitalism. I know it's not drawn very well. I know you might not think that I'm a college graduate, but I am. Okay, subset, free market capitalism. What people want to spend money on. Market. What people want to spend their money on. Okay? Market. All a market is a bunch of human beings giving people their dollars for a service. Okay? And I can, just to let you know, I could literally draw a unit circle from my head. Like I don't need a calculator to draw a unit circle. I can literally do that right now. So I'm trying to say that I'm not a moron, okay? I might not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm not a moron, okay? The reason why I'm dumbing this all down is because a lot of you are university's professors who make way too much money, who rip you off, and are going to say things about Fibonacci sequences and Plato's Republic and all this stuff. They have all these fancy schmancy words, but they cannot, but I am dumbing down why there is a $1.6 trillion student loan bubble and why all of a sudden the sports stuff is involved, okay? So, free market capitalism, what people want to spend their money on, okay? You, because you are a citizen of the United States, and pretty much you're a human being, unless you live in a communist country, but even in communism doesn't change people's wants. So, for example, I want gasoline. I willingly give the gas station money for the gasoline. It's called free market capitalism. The gasoline is a certain price. I pay it because I feel like that is worth my money. Okay. Free market capitalism, what people want to spend their money on. Most countries are under a free market capitalism system. If you live in the USA, which stands for United States of America, even though the scumbag, let's just say the scumbag donkeys have taken over the office, you are in a free market capitalist society. Okay? Free market. It works like a law. Not like feelings, like a law. Okay? It works. The morality, because people have different morals, doesn't change the fact that people are spending money on what they want. Okay? So why is this important? Okay? I'm going to draw this out again. Free market capitalism is a law. Is a law. Okay? It is not an opinion. It is a law. So why does this have to do with name, image, and likeness? What does this have to do with the NCAA? What does it have to do with college? What does it have to do with society? What does it have to do with sports? Okay? Free market capitalism. Law. In the United States of America, there is a market for sports ball. Market for sports ball. So what that means is people play sports ball. I, the spectator, want to watch sports ball. So I pay to watch sports ball. Look, sports ball team. Me, consumer, pay to get sports ball. Okay? Remember, it is a law, not feelings. Market for sports ball. Market for sports. People want to pay for sports. Okay? Do people want to pay for professors? No. Some do, and they're called idiots. Because now you can get the stuff for free on YouTube. Okay. So market for sports ball. By the way, I used to have professors tell me they hate football players. Even though at big universities, football players subsidize their worthless crap. So, again, market, free market for sports ball. Law, not opinion. Law. So if you think that your crappy psychology teacher should be paid more than a quarterback for the 49ers, it is irrelevant. Because that's like you saying that I think gravity should not exist. And that means that's the same thing as you saying that, I don't think gravity should exist, so I'm going to jump off this tall building because I don't think gravity exist. Boom. Law. Okay? So if you think that your worthless psychology professor should be paid more than an NFL quarterback, does not matter. Why? Because, again, it is a law. Okay. So, we've established some things. Free market capitalism. Law. What people want to spend their money on. Okay? Sports ball. Okay? In order to have sports ball, you need several things. You need stadiums. You need coaches. You need vendors. But the number one thing for sports ball is you need players. Yes. Players equals number one for sports ball. Players, number one for sports ball. Players generate this thing called revenue. Revenue. Okay? Now, the University of Alabama football team generates a lot more revenue than Willamette College. University of Alabama income to expenses is in the positive. So they generate a positive revenue. University of Willamette does not. Therefore, their players are a charity case. They do not generate revenue. University of Alabama football players generate revenue. Here is an axiom that I have came up with since I have worked in the free market. And this applies to not just universities, this applies to working at a gas station, working at a restaurant, working as a singer, a dancer, whatever. You can write this axiom. Read it closely. If one generates revenue, one shall get paid slash compensated. If one generates revenue, one shall get paid slash compensated. Okay. So what this means, okay, this applies in the free world. If I go out as an individual and I want to work at a coffee shop, or I want to work as a diesel mechanic, I'm going to require a salary. I'm going to require some form of compensation because I generate revenue. No matter how big or how small, I generate a positive gain. I generate revenue. Therefore, this is the axiom. Remember, it works like a law. If you generate revenue, you get paid. However, because of the NCAA scumbag system, you have a bunch of people generating revenue and they're not getting paid. Now, if I were to go out and work at a business and work a lot of hours and not get paid, that is what we call, wait for it, okay? What do we call when something provides revenue, when something generates revenue, but yet that something does not get paid? Okay, we had this system in the 1800s, and that system was called, have you guessed it yet? Slavery. Okay. Now, do I want to say that a Duke basketball player is a slave? No. And yes, at the same time. They're what they call ignorant. Okay? So, take an out-of-state kid, and he wants to go play Duke basketball so he can make the NBA. What kind of deal is he going to get? Well, that depends on if the coach, what kind of value the coach thinks he produces. So why is this affecting everybody else, not just in the sports world, okay? There is a disconnect with colleges, with society, because of Title IX, and worthless politicians and people, they come up with this buzzword called and again, I know my writing's not right. It's called equality. Okay? Equality. Again, this is written very, very poorly, but you guys, like I said, because all these people seem to have all this disconnect, they don't get, what I'm having to dumb this down to like Barney level. Like, I love you, you love me, right? Okay. So, through the education system, you are told by humans, not by law, but by humans, that you are equal. There is equality. So they mean that an Alabama football program is equal to a Willamette Valley football program. Okay? And everybody knows that is not true. Do you know why? Because one generates revenue and the other does not. Okay? So, equality is a myth. Equality is a myth. Okay? I'm just being intellectually honest, okay? This applies to athletics, business, all that. Equality is a myth. It's not real, okay? Nobody, people might be similar in skill sets, but they're not equal. And this applies to not only universities, but companies, cities. New York is better than Council, Idaho. New York has more business in it than Council, Idaho. Okay, so equality is a myth. Talk about revenue. Talk about. Do you see why I'm having to dumb this down? Because this goes with levels with levels. This goes to the student loan crisis. Okay, if you take athletics out of it, those principles that I just went over, equality is a myth. If you generate revenue, you shall get paid. That applies to everything. Everything. If you're a great musician, if you're a great entrepreneur, if you figure out how to generate revenue, you get paid. That's how it works in this country. A lot of people, they went to college because and I was like this too, because you weren't taught anything different. You weren't taught anything in the real world with our crappy education system. That degrees generate revenue. Degrees, they made it sound like degrees generate revenue. They made it sound like that certain degrees are. It's like they made it sound like it's equal, but not really. And they made it sound like, oh, you should go to Harvard, or your GPA matters, your GPA doesn't matter. Okay, a lot of this stupid stuff. Like, is a 4.0 in. I'm going to really mess with you guys. Got a guy at Harvard. He's got a 2.0 in political science, and you got a guy at say Columbia who's got a 4.0 in engineering. Who's more valuable? And the answer is we don't know. The simple answer is it is irrelevant. Okay, it used to be like, oh, this GPA trumps the school, or school trumps GPA, or whatever. Look, all that stuff, throw it out the window. We're not in baby boomer, crappy, 1960s, 1970s, okay? The reality is, the one who wins, the one who is better than the other one, has nothing to do with their degree, has nothing to do with their GPA. What it does have to do with is how much revenue that individual, he or she, generates. Okay? So, and the reason why is because, again, I went to the example of free market. People decide what's valuable. So the reason why that we use the dollar as a benchmark is because because people shell out their dollars for what they want. Okay? So that's why you can be a Harvard graduate might not be as good as generating revenue as a high school dropout. This is why this makes this all confusing. This is why people get all confused and are not sure of what's what. Because I'm still like that, but I'm learning. So again, a sign of an intelligent person is to take something very complicated and make it simple. Okay? It's like if you want to learn a different language, the expert's job isn't to say, I'm going to, outdo you. The expert's job is to take something that's very complicated and make it simple. So, again, Title IX says that there needs to be as many women as men, and they should be paid equally. Okay? I have no problem with that. But you know what does have a problem with it? The free market. Okay? Because one sport, it generates a lot more revenue than the other. That's why, and it's the same argument with the NBA versus the WNBA. It's just about the revenue. It trumps the argument of women's soccer. It trumps the argument of, what's a 40 time worth? What's What's a 100-mile-per-hour fastball worth? It all depends on what generates revenue. Okay? So the NCAA is now, you can notice they're finally backing out of this mess, and it's because they know that they screwed a lot of people over. They know that they were responsible for the $1.6 trillion student loan bubble, and they went to Congress, and Congress is like, wait a minute, these people are generating revenue but not receiving compensation for the revenue. That is wrong. By the Supreme Court is basically saying that you cannot have slave labor. So what's going to happen? These guys are slowly getting exposed. Again, Mark Emmert, who is scumbag number one, who there are so many dudes like Mark Emmert that, and I'm the same way. He's a baby boomer, old, outdated, and Mark Emmert and all your professors are some of the reasons why you're poor. I'm glad that Mark Emmert is stepping down. I would do a lot worse than him because he made this system. He didn't make the system, but he was like the overseer. Okay? So we're finding out reality. The reality is that college sports are what they are, is they are not college sports, they are professional sports in some instances. Big time football, big time basketball, and some baseball programs, and probably some hockey programs, they generate revenue. And these people, the players, are more valuable than their professors and their administrators. Why? Because they bring in money via the free market. You understand that a lot of college, a lot of education is not paid by a free market, is paid by the government, which is part of the reason and is part of the problem. So, in conclusion, and this goes a lot more. There's a lot of key players. You know, Jay Bilas, I think it's Bilas. He has a law degree. He's siding with the players, even though he went through the university system. A lot of people are coming out. Me, as an NCAA Division III player, I am siding with the players, and I want the system to be reformed. And I'm not talking just about the college athletics or the college system in general. I'm talking about the university, the education as a whole, all the way from kindergarten all the way up to where I'm at. Okay? Another concept that they're finding out that it applies to the university as well as real life is that people do not pay for lectures and they do not pay for information anymore because it's free. There's something called the internet. What they do pay is skill sets. So quarterbacking is a skill set and people willingly pay for it. Pitching, swimming in some cases, basketball. These are skill sets that people are willing to pay for. Okay? So as you can probably see my stance. I think this is about time. I hope this moves quicker. You might see the NCAA just get out of it completely, and college is now minor league system for the NFL and the NBA, and Major League Baseball has its own minor league system. That's why I love baseball, is because you don't have to go to college and get in debt to go make millions of dollars. But it's about time that people are like, yeah, they're not student athletes. Not correct. That they're not student athletes. They're employees. And again, they're also finding out that free market capitalism wins every time. And again, the reason why free market capitalism wins every time capitalism equals law. Capitalism equals law. Equality is a myth. Student athletes are a myth. You're a student and then you're an athlete. And most cases, the athletics take priority because you can get paid millions of dollars doing athletics. You can't get paid millions of dollars doing academics, statistically. Anyways, please leave your comments. I might do part 2 of this video. There's lots of other scumbaggery to uncover. That's why I tell people I like the NFL better than college. It's embraced the free market. Everybody gets paid, not just the coaches, and it's more fair. Oh, and there's another thing. Another thing here. Equality is not fair. Equality is not fair because entities are not equal. Entities are not equal. Two does not equal 4. 5'4", 110 pounds does not equal 7'1", 300 pounds. I bet right there. No, let's do it like this. 100-pound bench press does not equal 400 pounds bench press. Why am I throwing these metrics up here? If you take all of the Division I football players, all of the Division II football players, all of Division III football players, you put them through these tests, and you take all the statistics above it, this also includes men and women, you're going to find that Division I athletes are going to score better on average. There's always outliers, but those are few and far between. Therefore, they make more revenue. Therefore, they should make more money. It's the same thing with the WNBA versus the NBA. For every one Brittany Griner, the NBA's probably got 50. And I'm literally saying that. Okay? So do you guys understand that it's not equal? And colleges, education system preaches equality, and that's a myth. It's a lie. It's fugazi. It's fugazi. It doesn't exist. So going forward, I think I'm going to do another part to this. Again, doesn't matter what your feelings are. What matters is law. Gravity. Gravity matters. Gravity matters. Free markets definitely matter. What people want to spend their money on matters. And they should be able to spend their money on what they want. They shouldn't have the government or the NCAA or anybody like that tell them what reality is. Robski out.